the answers. I take the question.
Rep through rep.
Yeah. Woo!
Who are you to doubt El Dandy? Because this guy's a serious professional.
Can he do it?
Too hot to handle and too cold to hold. And I am Macho King Savage.
Shut your mouth, you thong-wearing fatty. I said WWE stands for... It's me, Austin. I will never retire.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hey, yo, Pro Wrestling Podcast listeners, welcome to the show where we don't sing it, we bring it. Help us out and click subscribe to show your support. While you're at it, if you are sick and tired of dropping $60 to $100 for the latest and greatest wrestling video game, stop immediately. Go to Wrestler Unstoppable, available exclusively through Facebook. Create a wrestler, sign contracts, get into storylines, headline PLEs, even build your own corporation from the ground up, all included in Wrestler Unstoppable, available now to all Facebook users, totally free. If you want to become a member of the Pro Wrestling Podcast family, want your name in the shoutouts like my good buddy John down in Texas, then check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/Pro Wrestling Podcast. Sign up today. There is some Patreon member exclusive content coming from John and myself. We're putting that together shortly, but don't forget, we have loyalty rewards. If you are a $15 a month contributor, you get to co-host a show with myself. $7.50 a month, we will put you into a drawing to also co-host a show with me. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this show. Welcome to this episode, I should say, of the Pro Wrestling Podcast. If you've got questions, comments, something you want us to touch on in the future episode, give us a call. Drop us a line. Pro Wrestling Sound Offline 267-642-1160, and we will get to those questions, comments, and anything you want us to talk about in a future episode. Kicking off tonight, we're going to get to some updates on some injuries, some contract status, get into some of the news and rumors for the week, and we will go from there. We're going to start with Liv Morgan, one of the big names that everybody is anticipating coming back. A lot of conjecture about what her role will be when she comes back. Will she be face? Will she be heel? Will she rejoin Judgment Day, break away from Judgment Day? Where will she fall when the chips are down and she comes back healthy? And it sounds like with the latest update on her health, she did sustain a separated shoulder. That's what led to Roxanne Perez popping in and taking her place. And according to PWI Elite, WWE officials are hoping that she will be able to return at the start of 2026. Assuming everything else stays on schedule, no setbacks, nothing major, there's a good chance that she would be available for the Royal Rumble. That would be the perfect place to bring her back. I know we had her enter at number 30 a couple years back. I don't know that I'd do 30. Maybe she's the Iron Woman this year. Put her in early and let her go over an hour. Maybe even with Roxanne Perez being the woman who currently holds the record for the ladies in the Rumble. Maybe have the two of them be the Iron Women and spend a whole lot of time in the ring together. Other updates. There apparently, when we talk about injuries, can't miss the situation with Naomi going on. Still no word on what the exact issue is. Her being pulled from championship defenses on Raw, potentially in France. But what we do know is, whatever it is, as a matter of fact, Natty was on Busted Open Radio talking about how she thinks this must be very serious for her to be gone, to miss those bookings and whatnot. It's got to be a big deal. And apparently that situation has expedited some plans that they had long-term for Asuka. Asuka was supposed to have a slow burn heel turn and become a heel going against Io Sky. With the injury to one of their top performers, they had to expedite those plans. They needed another major heel on the roster, and that looks like now it's going to end up being Asuka. If you were watching Raw, you saw the whole push and shove thing after the Kabuki Warriors cost Io her match against Roxanne Perez. According to PWI Insider Elite, again, they believe that the plan for Asuka to turn heel was in the works for quite some time. It was supposed to take much longer, and apparently now they are speeding up that process, which is another indicator that this injury to Naomi may be a little bit longer term than we really thought it would be. Let's talk some contracts. Kota Ibushi Came to AEW 2 years ago. Majority of his career in Japan, mostly New Japan Pro Wrestling, some Noah stuff, some other companies, DDT Pro and things of that nature, but came to AEW 2 years ago, has been used very sporadically. The guy has had a lot of issues with injuries and setbacks and whatnot, and at this point is really starting to come back and get to his footing again, and it has been announced that he did sign a 2-year extension with AEW. So at this point, he is going to be wrestling at least 2 more years with AEW. He has a quote here. He says, "I signed a 2-year reassignment. I still want to live, but I want to live. I can't imagine being in pro wrestling until I'm 45. What more do you want? I don't know. I have a dream to live and live this kind of pro wrestling. Back in the day when I was little, just not just good 99% hell. You don't want to get there." How tough at 99% hell is far way above the imagination. From training and daily living, just don't look down. Up to the top, still not enough, not like this from now on. So, and keeping in mind that the translation, because he does have a little bit of difficulty with his English, it's real clear Ibushi has a lot left in the business that he wants to accomplish. Former IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, has been used almost in a comedic role since coming to AEW, but it sounds like he wants to get a lot more serious. He's recently reunited with Kenny Omega, and I'm hoping that he stays healthy and is able to contribute at a high level. Now, on the same vein, AEW contract status of Hook has been the topic of conversation. He has been injured for quite some time now, and it sounds as though Hook has signed a long-term contract, multi-year deal, sometime in 2024 through his agent, Barry Bloom, and apparently we don't know the contract length, the terms, or anything like that, but we know that he is signed for the foreseeable future, despite the fact that the last time we saw him compete in an actual match was April 9th on an edition of Dynamite. We know there was some issues, potentially concussion, came back shortly earlier in the year, but now it sounds as though he's getting very close to a full-time return, which is going to be wonderful. Now, on the topic of contracts, not necessarily already signed, but new signees, if you're paying attention to AEW Collision this week, you'll notice a new face is in AEW, but it's an old face if you're a diehard wrestling fan. Former TNA World Tag Team Champion Ace Austin is now Elite. He had a match against Ricochet. At the end of the match, Tony Khan is going to come out and ask him if he wants to be All Elite, and he is going to accept. And now Ace Austin is the newest member of the AEW roster. So let's get to some of the bigger stuff of the week. A lot of conversations going on about AEW and WWE and how things are going to play out in the next several months regarding programming, counter-programming, what's going to be done, who's going to be used. We have heard that there is a Phantom pay-per-view, or Phantom PLE, that is coming on September 20th, purposely designed to go head-to-head with All Out. So when they bring up All Out overseas, going back to England, and you see WWE planning to put a show out there, the rumor is that AEW is planning to potentially move the start time of their show. Now, look, I get it. You don't want to go head-to-head with WWE because they're the biggest dog on the planet right now, but at some point, you can't keep moving your shows because of WWE trying to counter-program you, or you look second-rate. And here's it goes beyond just the counter-programming thing. First off, we know that All Out next month is going to be head-to-head with what is sounding like a John Cena versus Brock Lesnar match. Rumor has it might be Bad Blood. They may be bringing that concept. This is not the first time we've seen Cena and Brock. Maybe not many people who tune in, but if 20,000, it was an estimate, if 20,000 buys shift over to WWE's product, it's about $600,000 in lost revenue to AEW. Now, Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer, he was talking about how that's not such a big deal. They have $180 million a year contract and a media rights deal. I get it, but no company wants to drop $600,000 from one of their biggest shows of the year. And this is deliberate. This is on purpose. This is meant to hurt their negotiation rights in the future. WWE is not going anywhere. TKO is not going anywhere. So if they continue to counter-program AEW, sponsors and advertisers, and most importantly, networks, are going to look at this situation and be very concerned about what they're going up against. Is this company going to continue to do what they have to do to slowly but surely take away their audience, offering more attractive options elsewhere? The other conversation is that WWE is talking about moving Saturday night's main event from December 13th to December 27th. Now, the relevance of that, and one of the headlines on the slug for this episode, the plan for that Saturday night's main event is to be John Cena's last match. So if they are moving the show to December 27th, it would go head-to-head again with another AEW pay-per-view, World's End. And that would be purposeful because who is not going to tune in for John Cena's final appearance? You know, if they don't move Saturday night's main event, because there is a football game on Peacock that night, it is a possibility that WWE offers a PLE as John Cena's final appearance. And there's been talk about a PLE titled Ruthless Aggression. Maybe that would be his last appearance. But it's very interesting to see how this is playing out. I mean, there was a comment from Dave Meltzer saying one thing this shows, for whatever reason, is that Nick Khan and Paul Levesque, power duo, care a lot more about AEW than Vince McMahon did, and Vince wanted the thing out of business pretty badly from the start. So if Vince McMahon wanted them out and he wasn't counter-programming, think how much these guys are trying their best to put them out of business. And then you have to ask yourself why that would be the case. Competition is good. The other report from Dave Meltzer claims that WWE, because TNA is currently looking for a new deal, a distribution deal with a network, and conversations have been had that it could be a move to CW, it could be a move to A&E, it could be a couple different options, but one of the biggest hints that we're getting is that they're talking about moving them head-to-head on Wednesday nights. According to Wrestling Observer Newsletter, that was the conversation, is going head-to-head, TNA versus AEW, and WWE having a vested interest in TNA becoming the number 2 promotion in the world. Now, if you think about it, that would be a situation where WWE, even though they would be the number 2 company, WWE still has a lot of say, a lot of control over what they do because of that working relationship that they have. The media rights deal that TNA is trying to work on could be huge. And if it is, you have to know that whoever buys into that, whether it's a CW, whether it's another network, they're going to invest heavily into the product. WWE, because of their working relationship, is also going to invest heavily into that product. So when you look at it, and one of the conversations that Dave Meltzer had was, when you look at the deal with TNA, it's very similar to what WWE had offered the European promotions when they were starting WWE NXT UK, like WXW, OTT, Rev Pro, Progress. Years ago, they offered to allow European talent on the shows. The deal, basically what it was, is that every company at that time, except for Rev Pro, made a deal that they would supply tapes of their shows for the WWE network, and there was a time frame where WWE had the option to purchase their promotion. This is where Evolve ended up getting swallowed up and whatnot. And if this is similar, it would imply, and this is what Meltzer's implying, that WWE may even have a financial reason for this because they could acquire TNA. And if TNA becomes the number 2 brand, they acquire TNA, WWE could put all their resources behind TNA's product to help further put AEW down the line. The other conversation this week is about former UFC owner Lorenzo Fertitta. He is possibly looking at purchasing TNA. There was a conversation that is something he's interested in. Talk about a successful guy. I mean, when you look at UFC, it doesn't get much bigger than that. But also, there's clearly a working relationship, UFC and with him. And if this happens, again, it really allows WWE to have an avenue to really be influential, because there would be a great working relationship there if that were to come to fruition. Meltzer himself does not expect that WWE are going to acquire TNA. He doesn't think it's going to make business sense, but I feel very differently about that. The estimated value of TNA right now is $8 to $10 million based on the report that I saw. If that's accurate, just video and DVD release sales, or whatever you want to call it these days, PLEs, or streaming rights, or all that, their video library is worth probably $8 to $10 million. The majority of their value is in the library. Think about who all the superstars are who've gone through TNA. It would be very easy to do an AJ Styles retrospective and various other people, LA Knight and whatnot. So Drew McIntyre, and it's like a who's who of people who are either in WWE or have been recently. So definitely not something I would turn the page on, something we're going to have to monitor, keep our eyes on, but Very, very interesting stuff. Now, back to AEW, Forbidden Door right around the corner, and we've got some really cool things. Look, I'm just going to go over the things that I'm really into. First off, I'm loving that Cope and Christian are reuniting to take on FTR. I think that's a fantastic angle, so long as it's legit. I don't want to see one of these things where Christian turns and ends up taking out Cope again, and it leads to some other bunch of nonsense. But I apologize, they're going to pair up, and they're going to take on Nick Wayne and, I'm forgetting, Kip Sabian. That's going to be their first opportunity. Obviously, there's a plan that they will eventually go on to face FTR, and I would imagine there's actually a good possibility they go on to face the Hurt Syndicate. What an amazing story that would be for them to come back and win tag team gold together one more time. I think that would be wonderful. If you're watching Dynamite this week, Christian Cage saved Cope when he was being attacked by FTR and Stokely Hathaway. When FTR attacked Cope, it invalidated their restraining order, which was a ridiculous storyline to begin with. So now it's all good to go. Christian actually presented Spike to Cope and turned his back on it, and Cope ended up giving him a hug. I thought it was interesting. I was listening to Bustin' Open Radio, and they were acting like there wasn't a very big pop for that. But when you watch that back on YouTube, there's a heck of a pop for the reunion of Cope and Christian. So keeping our eyes on that, I think that's going to be fantastic. One of the matches I'm really, really looking forward to, though, the return of Will Ospreay, and it's been made official before the end of the show. It's confirmed that Will Ospreay, Darby Allin, Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi, and the soon retiring Hiroshi Tanahashi from New Japan Pro Wrestling are going to be facing the Death Riders, Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Gabe Kidd, and the Young Bucks. It's going to be an incredible 10-man tag team cage match. It should be just that match by itself. Just when you look at the talent involved, that could be one of the best matches on the entire card. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. I apologize, they haven't announced that it's a cage match yet. It's not a conventional one. It's a lights out steel cage, which, what the heck does that even mean? Drives me crazy. You know, why they got to put new lines and new taglines on everything, I just don't know. The other match I'm keeping my eye on, MJF being goaded into cashing in his Casino Gauntlet win for the World Championship, much like Athena is cashing hers in to face Timeless Tony Storm. Now MJF got goaded by Adam Page into cashing his in, so that match is official. Both of those matches are going to be money. It makes it so the London O2 Arena show is going to be off the chain stacked. It should be a phenomenal show. And that's without the fact we've got another major match on the card, Swerve Strickland taking a shot at Kazuchika Okada's AEW Unified Championship. And there's many more that I'm sure will be added between now and then. What an awesome pay-per-view it's shaping up to be. I'm looking forward to it significantly, and I think they, like always, let's be honest, their company is really good at putting on some of these phenomenal shows. It's the storylines they're not always great at, so we'll have to wait and see how the show shakes out, but right now it looks amazing on paper. And the last thing I want to get to tonight, AEW's Jeff Jarrett discussing his mixed emotions appearing at Hulk Hogan's funeral. I know we've had a lot of Hulk Hogan conversation over the last several weeks since his passing. This actually hit me a little bit. He said I'll read the quote because it was on his My World podcast. He said, "I just have mixed emotions because it was a private gathering and everything that went with it." He says, "It's a public knowledge that Vince spoke and Triple H spoke. When the pastor got up at the end and he, in a way, gave his message, that I guess you could say would be a typical of a funeral. But his ability to weave in and out of it, Hulk's testimony over the last 2 or 3 years, to hear him articulate specifically Hulk's last 2 years and his testimony and how Hulk was viewing the world and what he was doing and all that, that is something I wish the whole world could have heard because it's not coming from a wrestling announcer or a podcast or an interviewer promoting an event. His speech was obviously in private, invitation only. It was not done for clicks. He was pouring his heart out for the man he knew, and that was very, very special. The sermon touched Jeff Jarrett. He said he leaned over to Karen, his wife, Karen Jarrett, and I said, 'My God, I'm so glad I'm here to hear that.' And he just wishes the world could have heard that." And it makes you wonder, like, obviously, I don't know what was said, but it sounds like it was very powerful, whatever it was. And if that's the case, and if there's some indication that Hulk Hogan was finding a way to be a better version of himself in his last several years, that's wonderful. I think that's what a lot of people would have wanted to hear from the beginning. Sounds like genuine remorse. I hope that's what it was. I wasn't there. I can't comment. I would love for more talent who were at the funeral to speak about that. I know Kevin Nash was talking about how it wasn't real to him until he got there and got the card with Hogan's face on it, and it really hit him. So this is an interesting comment from Jeff Jarrett, one that I think is welcome and really shed some light on who Hulk Hogan really was in the latter stages of his life. That's all the time we have for this episode. Check back with us next episode where we run down the latest wrestling news and rumors. Special thanks as always go out to Suno AI for generating the music and sound effects I use in the show. Today's podcast sponsored in part by Beazle Games. Bring a new friend to family game night. It's easy with sketchy people. Showcase your artistic side in this game from Beazle Games by going to thegamecrafter.com and picking up your copy today. If you're looking for your next career move, you're considering college or university life, or maybe you just need some formal training for your next career decision, go to our website at frolifeplanning.com for all your higher education needs, as Fro Life Educational Planning is for today, for tomorrow, and for life with Fro Life. I'm Fred Froelich, better known as Dr. Fro. I want to thank you for taking some time with us tonight. Until next episode, take care, everybody. Have a great night.